Welcome to the new moon forecast for Capricorn of 2024. My astrology friend and colleague Justin Crockett Elzie is joining me today to talk about this Capricorn new moon. Hi, Justin.
Hey,
Welcome.
Liz. Getting ready for the new year, right?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. And it's rainy and gray today. So,
Yeah. Well, it's a little sunny here on the peninsula, so it'll get
oh,
probably. I'm sure you get a little sun later.
oh, that'll be nice. I'll enjoy that. It's been kind of windy these past few days. So, welcome to my channel. I'm Elizabeth Liz Muschett, and we're going to get started with the Capricorn new moon. So, Justin Crockett Elzie is here joining me today, and his website is justincrocketelzie.com, and my website is alightpath.com. And we enjoy hearing from you. And today we're talking about the Capricorn new moon. Capricorn is a cardinal sign, it initiates and creates. It's an earth sign, solid and stable, and the ruling planet is Saturn. And the key word is I function in the world,
Huh.
or the key phrase. And some key words are boundaries, practical, leader, optimistic, goal oriented, navigating complex situations, using wisdom for practical matters. And the caution can be pessimistic, overly bossy, and too focused on work and workaholic. Do you have anything to add to that, Justin?
Oh yeah, I think you covered it pretty well. I would also say it's just to kind of reiterate, it is an Earth sign and has this archetype of structure, and as you've got their leadership, and structure. So, good. It's good for planning and building things.
Yes, it is for sure. Okay, and we have the moon out of bounds from December 28th through January 1st, and Ceres is still out of bounds. And an out of bounds planet is a planet that's out of the bounds of the sun in declination north or south. And so our emotions can be
All of them
higher
now,
than normal or lower than normal. So
right? Higher or lower, right? Kind of all
so
over the map.
be patient with yourself and others. Go ahead with the nashaktras, please.
Yeah, and then the lunar mansion, which is we look at a lot of times with the new or full moons. The lunar mansion is that part in the sky or with the concepts and mythology about the particular degrees where it's at. And for this particular lunar mansion or nakshatra that Chandra or the moon is in, it's called Purvashada, and it's in the first pada, the first section, and which is always ruled by fire. And then this particular pod is ruled by Leo and represents confidence. And so the stars that are associated with this lunar mansion are considered the invincible. That's why it's called the invincible star. The ruling planet is Venus. The ruling deity is Apa, which is the deified deity of cosmic waters and rains. And the symbol is the elephant tusk because it does represent strength and connection. And so this is a really great lunar mansion for the moon to be in as we move into the new year, because it exudes confidence and it has this power to invigorate or energize. So I love it as we're moving into the new year. The lunar mansion is really kind of giving us a big shove and giving us some strength to with invincibility to meet what's coming ahead.
Well, thank you for sharing that. That's really interesting. To me, it sounds like that this is a powerful new moon.
Yeah.
And here's the aspect key if anybody needs that or it would be helpful. And here's the chart for the Capricorn new moon in Seattle. And we have a conjunction here with Pholus, the sun and moon, and Pallas Athena. So quite a bit of energy there with that new moon.
Yep.
And the ascendant is at 12 degrees Gemini, and it's ruled by Mercury. And the midheaven is 11 degrees Aquarius, and that is the traditional ruler is Saturn, and the modern ruler is Uranus. Do you want to talk about any of these, Justin?
Well, I think it's kind of interesting that we've got Mercury close to one of the angles and Leo close to one of the angles at this particular location in Seattle on the West Coast or the West Coast. And I think it just is sort of indicative as this moon represents a lot of change, 9 degrees Capricorn, and change of structures. We'll talk about some of the angles, but I know we don't have it on the slides, but I think it's important to kind of look at where Mercury and Mars are at here. We've talked about before, we're moving to a new year with Mars going retrograde, which means the whole collective is trying to figure out which direction to go now for the new year. And so it's somewhat squared there to Mercury a little bit, that it's all about kind of changing our thinking a little bit and our direction, Mercury and Sagittarius. So I think that's kind of interesting in this particular chart here.
Right. And since Mercury is the ruler of the chart, communication is key and important at this time, I would say.
Yeah, I'm thinking, yeah.
Okay, so we're going to look at the aspects to the new moon. The new moon is sesquiquadrate to Uranus. That's 135 degrees away. So to me, why I put that one in there is because I felt like it's, just showing how, Uranus rules the change, and there's like some tension there. So, you might not know what the change is, but change is certainly coming about for this new moon and this new year.
Well, yeah,
Do you
and
have any?
like you always like to say, anything that has close to a square, and that's really kind of what that is, almost a square, is it's creating some need of action, and the fact that there are two Earth signs. We're seeing, Uranus is this planet of rebellion, revolution, and change, and it's really, in Taurus with that new moon around and Sun there in structure. Definitely I think that's really indicative of the change in structure that's happening right now in our world.
And then we have a yod with a new moon quincunx to the ascendant and the IC. And a quincunx is 150 degrees away. And so, the ascendant and the IC are informing the new moon. And it's pointing to that new moon. So another indicator that this is a powerful new moon.
Yeah, if I could say that's, some astrologers don't really make a lot about the angles, but there are some astrologers that do, how important the angles are. I mean, Michael Bartlett wrote the book on Mavericks and talking about planets that are on the angles. And I think, yeah, even though this is West Coast, it still kind of gives us an area, the first quadrant of the chart, as if we're living on the West Coast, how the first quadrant of the chart may come into play for us, and especially that ascendant. And then for the East Coast, that a new moon is basically opposite the ascendant. And it's on the descendant. So I think there's something about the importance of the ascendant here with this Gemini ascendant as we move forward in the world, which is about Gemini, which is change and kind of embracing those new experiences. And I think that's kind of we got the change happening with the Earth, but the Gemini saying, okay, be curious, explore, get out there, and engage.
Well, and make sure that the information that you receive is correct information, not just
Yeah.
A tale or a story. And, stay in your heart centered as much as possible, I would say, with that Leo energy.
Yep. I
And then
agree.
we have a T square with Jupiter opposite Mercury and square Saturn. And Saturn or Jupiter and Mercury have been opposite each other for a bit now, creating a T square. So this tension of communicating, and Mercury and Jupiter are in each other's signs, so they have mutual reception. They don't like the signs they're in, but since they have mutual reception, it kind of eases that energy of uncomfortability. And the structure and how we communicate, I think, is important, and changing some of our belief systems possibly with that Mercury in Sagittarius, and then it will help us to move forward and grow.
Right. Well, and I agree with you. I mean, in some respect, I see the mutual reception as a positive thing. It
Mhm.
can be very positive. I mean, it can be really kind of get people out of their rut. With these two planets in Gemini and Sagittarius and opposite signs. So I think that's again back to that lunar mansion we were talking about, which is looking at our belief systems. That was part of that nakshatra because it's all about looking at the beauty and having that confidence, but looking at the beauty of our beliefs as we move into the world, and maybe adjusting some of our beliefs and values as we move in. And I think that's what Jupiter and Mercury's allowing here, is us to kind of, all right, new year, let's think outside the box. Let's get out of the rut a little bit.
Well, and just using the energy, um, there are some challenges or changes ahead or that we need to make, but doing the work to work through those will accomplish and grow, and there's unexpected things on the other side down the road. It will take a little while, but we'll get there. And I didn't mark in here, but I also want to mention that Mars is opposite Pluto, which it has been for a while and will continue to be for another month or so. And it's getting really close because I believe it's on January 2nd or 3rd that they're exact, but they're, applying to each other. So there's still that tension there, but they can see each other. So that's a good thing. You
Right.
want to speak to that opposition?
No, I think you got it covered. I like what you said.
Okay. And then some other aspects um, we have this big conjunction with Pholus, Sun, and Moon in Pallas Athena, which I mentioned a little bit earlier. Do you want to speak to that at all?
Well, yeah, I think so. For just learning of astrology, so Pholus was one of the centaurs and represents sudden change, and it's in Capricorn. When it's in Capricorn, which has been for a while, it does bring. It's almost like a Plutonian effect of changing a structure, and then of course with Pallas there, which is about seeing patterns in structure and foundation. I think we're given this opportunity with this, at one level there of change of structure happening, but at the same time being able to plan and to really organize things, reorganize and regroup. I think it's a really good combination for change, but also being able to regroup and plan appropriately.
Exactly. And it just reinforces that, change is about, we're going to make changes structurally, the world, the government, everything. So, and I don't think the first changes are going to stick. I think that there'll be several changes.
Oh yeah.
And then we have this mystical rectangle from Pluto, trine the south node, sextile Mars, trine the north node, and then sextile back to Pluto. And so with a mystical rectangle, we have two trines and two sextiles that connect, and also two oppositions to make a pattern, because I mentioned earlier that Pluto was opposite Mars and the south node is opposite the north node. So um, there's opportunity in a mystical rectangle, but there's opposition. So there's work to do and things to overcome to open the gift or the opportunity that's coming your way. It's usually not just handed to us. There's usually some work that we have to do to accomplish it. Would you like to talk about the mystical rectangle?
Yeah, I think I love what you said, and I think it's really kind of, if you look at the bigger picture, because it is touching those nodes before they change signs. I think this has really given us an opportunity to make the final changes, because of Pluto and Mars being involved there, a couple of malefics. It's allowing us to make changes to how we've dealt with um, self and relationships this year. So there's a relationship thing going on there because it is Aquarius and Libra, and I think it's just helping us clear up and finish up things with these nodes in Aries and Libra, I think.
Thank you. And then we have Mercury trine Chiron. So I would say, speaking about, and Chiron is an asteroid, but it's also a centaur. And, talking or writing or speaking about your wounds or what you want to teach, because Chiron was a teacher, but he was also the wounded healer. So there's some communication, whether that's with another person, a counselor, or just writing in your journal to work through some things. I think that would be very helpful at this time. Do you want to speak to that at all?
No, I think you got it covered there, definitely.
And then Saturn, the ruler of this new moon, is sextile to this new moon. So um, they're working together, or the ruler is in a good position to assist with all that. But since Saturn's in a water sign, um, go with the flow, so to speak, or be flexible.
Hmm.
Anything else you want to say about that?
No, I think you got it covered.
So overall, this is a nice looking new moon. Um, and how do you manifest with the new moon? Um, I like to write things down that I want to release, and then I'll crumple it up and burn the piece of paper in my fireplace. But if you have a safe place to burn something, you can do that, or you could rip it into a bunch of little pieces and bury it out in your yard or in a house plant, or probably not in your house. It's probably better to release it outside somewhere. Um, and you want to talk about the second one, Justin?
Well, yeah, I was going to say, this is the reason we want to do this was because there is always this thing about manifesting with new moons, and this is a Capricorn new moon, which is about structure and planning, and because it's an earth sign, it's about design, structure, and planning. I might also say that tonight might be a good time. We're in a Scorpio moon as we move into this moon, so you might want to do it now. You don't have to do it on the new moon, but this new moon is good for writing, like you said, writing down what you want to release and burn it. I'm going to do that. But it's also about finishing up old projects and prepare for the coming changes the year ahead, because this is, I would say, more than what I've seen in the past, this is really where we're feeling a big shift, that we want to look at projects that we haven't completed yet. And then also how those projects may change a little bit, may go over into the new year, but you may see some changes with those projects. So really kind of plan around your projects and be flexible to what's coming up.
And work on attuning to the energy of the coming year, and light a candle and meditate or contemplate. It's like just taking a few minutes, whether it's 1 minute, 5 minutes. If you like to spend an hour, that's fine too, just to focus on what you want to bring in, and um, just have some quiet time around that.
Right.
And
And
since
I want to point out, you write down and plan what you want to build and grow. That's, I thought, was really important what you wrote down there.
Well, and this new moon is a couple of days before the first. So by the time the first rolls around, we'll be seeing the sliver of the moon. And since the new moon is the dark of the moon, it's still dark. I like to wait until a day and a half or so after the new moon to finish up. So I give myself a little time, before, in the balsamic phase of the moon, before the new moon, to start
Mhm.
contemplating and thinking about, well, what do I want to release? Because I have this belief of like releasing something to make space for the new to come in.
Right.
That's appropriate. And then by the first, we'll be able to probably see a sliver of the moon if we can see in the sky. Because
Right.
where I'm at, it's probably going to be cloudy, but we'll see. I can always hope and pray that I can see the first sliver of the moon. And so to me, that's like the spark that initiates what we want to bring in.
Yeah, I agree. And you
So do
get
you want to
started now. We got a Scorpio moon happening now. This is time to start like cleaning things, finishing things, and by the time we get to this new moon, we're gonna be in a new phase, definitely.
Absolutely. Okay, I have a quote here for you. What a little moonlight can do. Wait a while till a little moonbeam comes peeping through. And that's Billie Holiday. And that resonates with how I like to wait until about a day and a half or so after the new moon, so we can see that sliver of light to spark it. But you can light a candle and work within your own time frame. That works really good.
Yeah.
So Justin and I both have newsletters and YouTube channels, and we appreciate you subscribing and following us. And Justin and I do a few podcasts each month with the full moon and the astrology forecast and a Chiron asteroid series. Then I have a series called the Astrology Star Sisters, and we do a dwarf planet series, a planet stationing series, decons using astrology and tarot, fixed stars, and Uranian astrologies. And Justin and I both do consultations in person and on Zoom.
Yep.
And Justin and I will be on Talk Cosmos on January 26th talking about the Aquarius new moon. And that's at 1 p.m. And you can watch it here on my channel. And Justin and I will both be at Thrive in 2025 on January 1st at 12 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. It's hosted by East West Bookshop, and their website is eastwestseattle.org. And in Japan, New Year's Day is an auspicious day that sets the tone for the rest of the year. So there'll be goal setting, vision board hints and suggestions, tapping into your superpowers, a ceremony with the World Peace Flame, and some astrology weather reports for 2025. And it's $15 to sign up.
Yep.
And here's Justin, what he's doing. Go ahead, Justin.
Yeah, I do some things on Instagram, so you can just follow me on Instagram. And then I also do another podcast besides all this wonderful stuff with Liz and Sue. I do one with Michael Bartlett, who's a great astrologer out of New Mexico. And we do a podcast called The Relationship Guys, and we got a new one coming up, new episode in the second week of January.
Good. And we have a viewer here, Kimberly, and I want to thank her for being here today watching us live. Thanks for joining us. And any other takeaways for this new moon that we haven't talked about so far?
No, I just think that it really does portend a shift that's coming as we end the what the Western world would see as the end of the new year. And just to plan and get ready.
Well, and I want to thank all the viewers that are watching live and those that come back and watch later on. We appreciate you, and we look forward to having you join us again in the future. And again, to get a hold of Justin Crockett, Elzie, it's JustinCrockettLzie.com is his website, and my website is A Light Path. And Happy New Year, and we'll see you next time. Thanks for joining us. Bye for
See ya.
now.